And then we go from Fitty and G Unit to trap music. The
Trap
king of
music.
T.I. right there.
Yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on T.I., my man?
Man, so he was definitely taking notes. So this is an interesting thing, you know, like 50's blowing up in New York. You go down to Atlanta, and these guys are hearing about it down there, you know, with the mixtapes and everything, seeing what's happening. And T.I., again, similar kind of situation, you know, he'd been putting out records, and the first one didn't do that well. It was a little bit of a flop, and then, you know, you get on to these mixtapes, and T.I. just went all out.
Yeah.
He went hard on the mixtapes, and, you know, really earned that King of Atlanta you know, title. So yeah, man, he had that East Coast flow with the Southern drawl.
I love that. I love when that's said there, because I thought about it and I'm like, dang, that is spot on.
Yeah.
That is spot on.
Absolutely. Repping the streets to the fullest, which is something that, you know, like, even out of Atlanta, you had Outkast, you had, you know, at the time, who else did you have there? Shoot.
You'd have Ludacris and Goody Mob and
Goody Mob. Yeah, and Little John and the East Side Boys.
Yep.
Nobody was really repping the streets though. No. And that's where T.I. really found it. And then going the mixtape route and hitting the streets with what the streets are talking about.
Yeah.
That sealed the deal for T.I.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
And in that, they, like, while T.I. was doing his thing, they even created their own sound. Like the trap music where it's like, you know, it's like faster. It's like, okay, we still have the 808, but we have our own, you know, so like pre this episode, I know we've watched it a few times, but pre this episode, I didn't really know what trap music was or the sound. But as soon as you listen to it, you're like, oh, okay, now I know what trap songs sound like, and now I know I can identify, okay, this is what it is. And, you know, the Trap King over here created that, right?
Yeah.
And I think with those mixtapes, I think it was 24.
Yeah.
24s was the big one that was like, okay, everyone needs this. Everyone's got to get it.
Yeah.
And kind of shot him to get that second album.
Yeah.
And do you remember that story?
Yeah. Yeah. He's sitting in the barber chair, right?
Yeah.
With was it Toompa?
That was that Rubber Band or was that 24s? Yeah, that was 24s. Sorry, please
24s.
Go on.
He's getting a fresh fade, and you know, I believe it was Toompa.
Yeah.
He was producer. He would put everybody on. So while they were just chilling in the house in between sets, he's cutting people's hair. And he's got a beat going. He's got you know, T.I. sitting in the chair. He's cutting his hair, and T.I.'s just feeling it, like, oh yeah. No, don't give anybody this beat. Like, I got something. Yeah. 24.
And he's just mumbling it, right?
Yeah.
Just working it out. Yeah. Oh man, that is funny. That is.
But that blew him up, man.
Yeah.
It got so with the mixtapes and with a streak of good luck in producing and getting good production, you know, that track on for the 24s, that ended up getting him with David Banner.
Mm-hmm.
David Banner gave him a few good ones, like Rubber Band Man. That was a huge one, right?
Yeah, that was massive. And that was the one David Banner was like, straight up, if I knew it would have been that big, I would have kept it for myself. But yeah. And T.I. was just like, you know, you give me this, and I'm going to give it back to you in like spades. Like, you won't even believe what you're going to get back. And sure enough, that, like, 24s was big, good song. Rubber Band Man was, you know, number one, you know what I mean? Like, in top 100s, right? So it was a huge hit.
Without Rubber Band, he might have just ended up being a one-hit wonder.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
24s and gone, but Rubber Band Man then sealed that. This guy's the real deal, and, you know, brought in so many other songs after that, right?
Yeah.
And I think he also told another funny story about, was it L.A. Reid that he was talking to, where he's like, you know, for the second album, he's like, all right, you know, I want $1 million or we walk. And L.A. Reid's like, okay, I'll give you what you want. You walk. And then T.I.'s face is like, oh. And then he's like, well, you know, he did me a favor because then I went with Atlantic, got $2 million, and also joint money on that, right? Like joint ownership.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes, and this is it, if life gives you lemons, sometimes make some lemonade, right? Find another person out there and
just pretend that it's edible.
Yeah, that's right.
The words from our next up, Sam Nabby.
That's right.
Yeah, man. No, and T.I., like, what a tale, you know? Like, he goes from, like, that David Banner beat, Banner wanted $5,000 for it, and he's like, no, like, I don't have $5,000. I'll give you $2,500. You give me that, and then watch what I do with it, and I'll send it back to you tenfold. So you got a guy going from this to, you know, now he's king.
Yeah.
You know, like, geez, man, like his rise in celebrity through that time era, through the mixtapes, through good production, definitely solidified his name in rap.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like you think of, you know, top rappers and especially top Southern rappers.
Yeah.
I can't think of many better, right? So he's definitely top 1, 2, 3, right? So it's easy to go by.